Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for Bona Adhesives.
I'm Rob Johnson from Bona Training.
How are we doing, Rob?
Oh, pretty good, Wayne.
I understand you're in my neck of the woods lately.
Oh, sure was. What are you doing for St. Patrick's Day?
Nothing.
I know you said nothing on the last show, but
Wearing a green sweater. That's it. That's it.
I haven't even worn my green yet. I got a green pen.
That doesn't count.
Well, it's as close as I'm gonna get right now.
You just want to be spanked or pinched.
Well, Rebecca, my youngest one, she married a guy named McSweeney, Kyle McSweeney. Nice Irish family, He's even got some Irish tattoos and stuff like that. It's a national holiday over at their house. They've got all of my kids are going there for a big party. Of course, we were invited too, but
out of necessity.
We're not big drinkers, and plus, it's kids' time. You know what I mean?
You could sit down on the couch in suspenders on the couch and fall asleep in the middle of it all.
They do all sorts of, they got some hook game and some beer pong games, but they got people coming in from Boston. I mean, it's big. I'm making them some food.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this is like, they do this one up big. So they have been talking about this party and the parade and everything. They've been talking about this for months. What time? What's it going to do? What can I bring?
Now,
this is huge for them.
Is he really Irish or is he faux Irish? Because a lot of Americans claim that they're Irish, and a lot of them aren't really Irish.
I don't know if he's. I don't think he's running guns for the IRA Irish, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty Irish. I don't know how to answer a question.
I got a story.
How Irish is Irish?
I got a story about that, and I probably shouldn't tell it.
Oh, why not? We got the time.
No. Okay.
So what do you mean by that? Is he real Irish?
Well, a lot of, I'll give you I don't know if I should tell you, he's a family member, so I probably shouldn't say that either. But if you've never sniffed Ireland before, if you've never been to Ireland, you've never visited Ireland, you've never done anything, then,
Well, I think Boston is just about as close as you're going to get to Ireland.
A lot of Irish. Well, New York.
There's a lot of Irish stuff going on in the city of Boston.
New York too.
They, New York, absolutely. But
one of the biggest.
Think of the Boston Celtics, the fighting Irishmen on the center logo there. I mean, that's a pretty Irish place. But is that the only true way to know you've had to bend over backwards and kiss the Blarney Stone Irish, or is that just that's faux Irish to that?
I actually did kiss the Blarney Stone.
Did you?
Yeah, I got pictures of me kissing the Blarney Stone. I did it the same year Muhammad Ali did it. He was just there like a month before I was. Yeah.
All right, so what's the deal with this Blarney Stone thing?
It's supposed to give you the gift of the gab. It's a castle. You go way up in the castle, way up, and then you get to where the Blarney Stone is, and then you have to lay that back on your back and go way over and kiss it, and you look down there is like a cliff, and it's supposed to bring you good luck. The gift of the gab.
The gift of the gab.
Yeah.
How many times did you kiss that sucker?
French kissed it.
You made out with that thing, huh?
Yeah.
You took it out.
I took it seriously.
You took it on a few dates.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what are we going to talk about today, Rob?
Yeah, Wayne, last week we were in Nashville. I was working with Jeremiah Strong, the territory manager from down south, and it covers a bunch of the southern states. And we've just had a lot of questions over the past couple of years about the power scrubber and deep clean and how to remove polish and blah, 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 blah. And for 8 years, I've been talking about the guaranteed recoat system, the prep system, and everything, and Murphy's oil soap. And I've used it a few times on, I had to do the Monroe facility, but that was just a lot of experimental stuff that the lab boys were using out front. So Jeremiah and I were talking, and we decided on how about if we went out and bought every crap product that's out there and covered the floors with it. So that's what we did. So I got off the plane, went right to the hardware store, and I bought some oil soap. I bought the mop and glow stuff and stainless steel polish, some other floor polishes, acrylic, spray on acrylic polish. I mean, we just bought everything that we recommend people don't use to maintain their hardwood floors. And then that night, Jeremiah and we coated the entire training center with all of this stuff. Okay? Yeah, with it all.
You must have felt like you were cheating on your wife.
Exactly. Like I was cheating on my wife using all this stuff. And the funny part, though, is Jeremiah and I sitting there trying to read. The print on the back of this stuff is so small, so we're taking pictures and expanding it so we can actually read. There's a couple of seasoned floor veterans, no idea how to use Murphy's oil soap or mop and glow or any of these things. So we're reading the directions, putting this, and then we started working. Okay. A couple hours, I think we were done with the whole place. We came back in the next day. I had an awakening, Wayne. I had an awakening. Okay. For the life of me, I could never understand why people use this stuff. Ever. We all know how bad it is and what it, as Wayne would say, creates bond breakers. Came in the next day. It smelled amazing.
Wow.
The place smells clean, like really smells clean. Not like a perfumey type thing, but clean. Then we go walking out, we're looking at the floors, and we are both cracking up like, wow, this stuff looks pretty good. We even put down the Bona polish.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really good, pretty easy to work with. Looked really good. Murphy's oil soap, the mop and glow, I was blown away how good everything looks.
Sounds like you had an epiphany.
What is that word?
Epiphany.
Is it epiphany?
Yeah.
Or epiphany.
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 With an M, as in Mary.
I thought you said F and
No.
not the TH. Epiphany. I've never used that word. Never, and now I know I'll never use that word.
Spell epiphany.
Epiphany. EPIPHANY.
Does that help you?
Thank you very much. Where would you be without her? Huh?
I was doing that for your benefit.
Thank you.
How many syllables are in it? Epiphany. Yeah.
4.
Okay. All right. So so they look beautiful and they smell beautiful.
Now I get it. I get why people use this stuff. The problem is the more you use it, the worse it starts to look. Like the first one's always going to look great, but then it starts to attract some dirt. And then you're thinking, oh, I want to get that feeling back. And you put more on and more on and more on. And then that's when everything starts to blow up.
Like drugs.
But I never got it until I used it. And I was like, all right. And the other thing is, now I know why it's a tough habit for some people to break. My sister-in-law loves her mop and glow.
Really?
Loves it. And then one day my brother's like, hey, you think you can do a screening coat on the floor? My brother's an old floor guy too. He grew up in the family business. He did it. And he goes, hey, what about coming over and doing a screening coat? Oh, started chugging through this kitchen. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I knew it wasn't my finish. And that's what it was. It ended up being mop and glow. So it was just misery to get off. But I get it. Looks clean, smells clean. So now I kind of get it. So maybe I'll just be a little kinder and gentler about it from now on, and not think, My God, you got to be crazy to use this stuff. Now I understand why.
So now you got to get it back off. Was that the challenge?
That was the challenge because we always talk about this in the classes, but we never just dedicated an entire class to removing and recoating these surfaces.
That's interesting. Okay.
So that's what we did. That's what the kids. Oh my God. Now that I'm 60, everybody's a kid.
Yeah.
Everybody's a kid now.
Yeah.
60. Yeah. I'll be 61. And that's what so everybody comes in, we start the class, we showed all the stuff. Matter of fact, I sent you guys a picture of all the stuff that we had used. And that's what we did spend the day. We started out talking about the power scrubbers. And a couple of the students have power scrubbers and they were looking for how can we make more money? What more can we do, with the power scrubber? One guy went into this great tangent about how he's just using it for new construction cleanup. Not only does he do the floors and everything, but he tells all his GCs, when you're all done and everybody's done and everything, I'll come in and do your final job site cleanup using this, for the sheetrock dust. And it's stuff that, we had talked about before. So we just started attacking. All of these floors. So some of the products that we were using to correct some of the mistakes, we used the Bona Prep. We used the Bona Guaranteed Remover and Rinse. We used the Bona Deep Clean. We used the Bona DC Polish Remover. And then we actually did some coating with the Bona Refresher. So you have Bona Refresher and you have Bona Polish. Both great products. The difference is if you put Bona Polish down, before you can put a fresh coat of finish on there, you need to remove all that polish. And then you can put a coat of finish, abrade it, put a coat of finish down. If you're going for a clean floor and just a little spruce up for a weekend or something like that, you can go with the Bona Refresher. The thing that I like about the Refresher is you can recoat over it. It doesn't need to be removed. All you need to do is abrade it and coat right over it.
Let me ask you this. Did you just pause right now because you thought I was going to talk?
I heard you.
Yeah.
I heard you starting something, so I stopped.
We're getting to be like a married couple. We start to understand these things. Sometimes you want to find out, okay, do I have an acrylic on my floor? I mean, how do I find out if I'm going to recoat this floor and maybe it's got an acrylic, maybe not? Rob, do you have a way of checking that?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways. I think the foolproof way right away is to take a little piece of sandpaper, block sander, lightly abrade an out of the way area, but not so out of the way that you know that it's still being maintained. Okay? Is that it? My time's up.
No, it means I have to take a pill. Sorry.
Old people set timers for pills.
Yeah, I know.
One of
the best things I've come across with in a long time, and maybe you do the same, is I buy the thing now. You put all your medicine for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you got yes. Is that the best thing ever? That's old people love right there.
That's old. Yeah.
Yeah. When you got that and you're happy about that,
that's
a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Sad but true. So you're asking me, how are we going to determine what's on the floor? One way, right away, okay, light piece of paper, you sand that small area out of the way, just lightly sand it. If your paper's loading up with stuff, okay, we got something on the floor. Now let's determine what it is. Take a clean white rag, little mineral spirits on that rag, give it a wipe. All right. If it comes up a little on the brown side, well, we probably got an oil soap or a paste wax or something like that. The other test you can do is just a couple of drops of water. If it turns white really quick, same thing. It's probably um, a paste wax or an oil soap type product. But then you got to test. Now you've got the other products, so your acrylic waxes. So our test for that is going to be 8 ounces of water, half a teaspoon of ammonia. Take that mixture, 2 drops. Now, if it starts to turn white or cloudy white, that's going to tell you that you've got the acrylic waxes on there.
So what I've always been told, Rob, is that for that we take like half watered, half household ammonia, and then let pour a few drops on the floor, and let it sit for a minute or so, and then take your fingernails and agitate it, see if it turns milky white. That's what we've always done. So
half and half ammonia, half water.
That's what we always.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. It only takes, like I said, half a teaspoon of ammonia to a cup of water.
Okay.
And you're going to get the same reaction.
Okay. When you agitate with your fingernails,
you just like white. Touching. Yeah. He's just like making that scratch noise right now.
Yeah.
I know what's going on.
You mentioned that you turned 60 years old.
What's so funny about that?
And if the next transition in your old age thing is when you pull up to a gas tank is you don't fill the gas tank up to full anymore. You only half a tank. You don't want to die and leave 3/4 of a tank of gas.
Oh, Pauline's dad used to say, "I'm so old I don't even buy green bananas anymore."
Yeah, there you go. So let me ask you this: how did it go? How did the removal of the all those products off the floor go?
Amazing.
Really?
It went absolutely amazing. And I think one of the things that we found when you're using those products that I was talking about to remove things is to make sure you're hitting your coverage rate. Like that DC polish. The Bona DC polish remover, you really want to get that stuff down decently heavy, and you want to let it work. Like the way to use that is to put it down on the floor, make sure that you hit your coverage rates on it. You don't want to put it down too thin because you want some good chemical in there that's gonna really get that agitation going. So on one of the floors, we had used a DC polish, and Jeremiah actually hit it with a red pad, really just to rough it up. But that would be for for the mop and glow. That's what we were doing. We were roughing it up with a red pad and the DC polish. Just to remove the DC polish, we were using the power scrubber, getting a good amount on, letting her sit for about 10 minutes, let it do its chemical reaction there. And then we were just taking the power scrubber and knocking it off. That polish remover worked on the DC polish, and it also worked on the mop and glow too, which I was really happy to see. On the mop and glow, we used DC polish remover on one side, and on the other side, we use a guaranteed recoat system. They both worked. And now we got to remember that was only one coat of the stuff. Like when I was doing my sister-in-law's house, she had 4 or 5 coats of the mop and glow on, because the more of that stuff you use, the more you need to use it. You know what I mean? It gets dirtier quicker and quicker and quicker. So you might have to agitate it, maybe do a couple of applications. But for the oil soap floor and some of the other floors that we had used the, what did I say we had used? The stainless steel polish and the other cleaner and polishes, we were using the guaranteed recoat system. Same thing. You don't want to put that remover down too thin. You want to really lay it out there, scrub it in with the abrasive brush. And, not only did we do all of that removal and using all those different chemicals and everything, but then when we were all done, that was a full day too. and it was just kind of funny the way we're that was our class. You know what I mean? But everybody was, how's this? How did it work? How's this going to work? Everybody was really excited to come back in the next day and coat all these things. So we abraded everything that we had put all the polishes and the soaps and waxes and all that stuff. So we'd come in the next day and abraded stuff and coated. And even with the guaranteed system, where we did our guaranteed recoat system, we didn't even abrade that. We just went right to finish. And everything looked absolutely amazing. Passed all our adhesion tests, passed everything. But, you know, we just always talking about these products to our students and how they work. And, you know, but I think we're going to do more of these types of classes, because it really is an eye-opening experience, because it's not just the one product that we're constantly talking about. There's all sorts of stuff that people are putting on floors. And what we were showing everybody is, man, we got a lot of bullets in that gun. You know, between the polish remover, between the guaranteed system, between prep, even the deep clean. And of course, everything just revolves around that power scrubber. And I know you and I have talked a lot about the power scrubber, and when Bona finally lets us go, it'd probably be one of the first things that I would buy, is getting into that, because there are so many things that you can do with this. I mean, it's just insane.
Rob, so when I when I moved here, a friend of ours was just bought a house and had pre-finished hardwood floors. And he asked me if I'd come and help him do something with the floors, and he thought I could just like put a coat on or something. And I said, I don't do that anymore. I'll come and look at them. So I looked at the floors, and there was clearly something on the floor, and there was mop and glow in the under the kitchen cabinets. And so I did a little test area. You can tell that this was a practice this lady had been doing for a long time, putting mop and glow on the floors. So I got DC polish remover. I got the power scrubber. I got our rinse product. And then I ended up getting red pads and maroon pads. And I put it out there, I let it dwell out there. But as you said, this had been on there for years and years and years. It's amazing how much stuff was coming off of there. And what worked best for me was to let it dwell, hit it with a red pad, and it was not affecting the pre-finished floor at all. It was like aluminum oxide. It wasn't bothering that at all. And then coming back behind it with the power scrubber, and then cleaning it with the power scrubber afterwards. I mean, they look like brand new floors. Like it was like 1,000 square feet. So yes, you have an expression that I learned from you, is the juice worth the squeeze? And that's something to consider when you're doing these jobs. Like I would have charged a good amount of money if I was a contractor doing this, because it is more involved. You are using maroon pads, so you are doing, it's not just like, okay, it just lay it down there, put this on it and do that and you're done. It did require me doing several steps of it, but it all came off and it looks stunning. And it looks like there was a gem hidden underneath all that, layers and layers of these products. And it was stunning when it was done. And I was driving off and I was thinking to myself, man, what would I have charged for this? Because they were beyond happy. And they would have paid, if I put a number in front of them, whatever that was, they're friends, I wouldn't charge them. But they would have paid that. So you're right. And the power scrubber to come behind that and finish it. I mean, you and I have had multiple conversations, like you said, about the power scrubber afterwards. When I was a sales rep, I would go to retail stores and talk to them about this machine. And a lot of times I would take the machine if they had we don't say this is made for tile floors. We're a hardwood floor company. We test everything on hardwood floors. But a lot of times I would take it across their tile and I'd run it at a diagonal across the tile, one pass up and that same pass going backwards. And they would blow their mind how clean it got it. They're like, holy smokes. And of course, then I'd end up having to do the whole damn showroom because
Yeah.
I can't leave it like that. But
well, you got to buy it or this is it.
Yeah. But man, you hit the nail on the head, man. Especially, it's slowing down in a lot of areas. It's been a challenging first quarter for a lot of guys. Man, I think there's a great opportunity to this machine, and I think it often gets overlooked. We talk about that a lot, but
Mm.
I bet you got as much out of this class as the students.
I got more.
Of course you did.
I
We
know
just,
I got more.
we just did the one upping show.
Yeah.
I got more than you just even
I
hearing
got
about
so
it.
much more than you did. No, I had the question answered. I mean, for forever, I've been saying, why would people use this stuff? It's horrible. Well, now I know why.
Yeah.
Now I get it. So when I'm talking to people about this stuff, I'm just gonna go out a new door where I'm just not. And it hit me too. Like, if you heard me talking, if you used it, and I said, my God, that is the worst thing in the world you can do to your floors. I just insulted you.
Yeah.
I just insulted your decision making.
Mm-hmm.
I just called you an idiot.
Yeah.
Right? Now I can say, hey, listen, I know why you're using this stuff. Okay. I know why. It smells great. It looks great. But you're just starting down a terrible path. There's a whole new way I'm going to go about this, because I think in the past, when I had even my own customers and, rant and rave at them, now I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty stupid. I mean, I literally just called them an idiot for using this. And they're the ones who are putting it down going, geez, they're thinking in their head, I don't know, Rob, looks pretty good and it smells good too. So, maybe I'm not so stupid. But
And to be clear, you weren't calling me stupid, because the ramifications for that would be just awful.
wouldn't
Yeah.
even cross my mind.
No.
Now, let's talk about something else that we learned at this school. All this cleaning things, right? All this, I mean, that guaranteed system, and just, hitting it with that abrasive brush and just watching the Murphy's oil soap just ball up and be removed and everything. A little heads up to everybody. Clean out your power scrubber when you're using these products. If you're just deep cleaning, give it a little rinse, not too much going on. But when you start throwing all of this stuff into the mix, the remover, the polish remover, everything that we're cleaning off of the floor, all this stuff is sticky. You know what I mean? It's gooey, it's sticky, it's ugliness. And just make sure that you run some clean water through everything and clean out your brushes, clean out the machine, because it's amazing. It's clean as hell, except for underneath that machine. When you flip that machine over and look at what's all inside and underneath it, everybody will start to see, because you don't want to let that stuff set up. We're always talking about, if you're using prep, make sure it doesn't set up. Don't let that slurry set up. If you're using the guaranteed recoat system, don't let that dry on you. You got to keep everything wet and everything. So the last thing you want to do at the end of the day is just put your power scrubber away without taking care of it. She's going to make you a lot of money. Treat her nice, clean her up. I think it's definitely the way to go.
You just reminded me something too, that we've done it a couple times in the past when the homeowners weren't there, is take a picture of of what comes off their floor, the dirt that comes off that floor, or take a video of pouring it out and how black it is sometimes with all the dirt and everything that's actually been extracted off the floor. And that's a $50 word, isn't it? Extraction.
That was something that I learned when we were working with Stanley Steamer. And when Stanley Steamer comes in and they're talking about, they don't say that they're shampooing your carpet. They're doing a steam extraction. And extraction it's the same thing when we talk about the Tampico brush with a vacuum. You're using a backpack vac on the buffer with a Tampico brush. We are now extracting dust from the floor. We're not just vacuuming it. We're not just tacking it. We're getting down into the crevices of the wood and digging stuff out. And that's exactly what the power scrubber is doing.
Which is different than a buffer that is more like, pushing the contaminants around or moving the contaminants around, but not actually extracting them off the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I learned that from you, Rob. I learned that from you from the very first introduction to an auto scrubber years
You know what would
ago.
have been nice if you didn't sound so surprised that I taught you something. That would have been nice.
No, I didn't. I didn't mean to. I'm giving it up to you. That I learned.
You
I
know
learned
I
a lot.
can't. You know I
I
can't take
know.
a compliment.
I know.
So don't even try.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was trying to think of the third. I learned a lot from you back in the days, man. You really rounded out my education as a floor guy. I'm going to. I've absolutely. I'm not kidding either. That's actually the
I've
truth.
loved to watch your growth. I've stayed stagnant.
Yes, true. Yeah, you were kind of like a pond scum is a harsh word in the way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But you know how like with a pond that stays, it doesn't move. It's just like I don't know, like pond scum, rather
Yeah.
than have like a fresh lake where things are moving and flowing and always changing and growing yeah.
Yeah, maybe pond scum isn't what maybe pond scum isn't what I have gone with. I would have said
No.
maybe you and I are like Belichick and Brady, and
Okay.
then Brady moves on and wins another Super Bowl, and
Yeah.
Belichick's still kind of left behind,
Yeah.
still waiting for his success that will eventually come back to him, kind of a thing.
But the visual of pond scum, I think is more captivating. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I hope you catch a lot of fish this weekend. I really do, man. All the more power to you.
Thank you so much. All right. All right.
So one more thing that we learned about this, and this was a real. I bet we probably had 25 people at this class, and some of the conversations were getting pretty cool, pretty intense, really good discussions. People switching phone numbers, people switching contact information, going to be working together on certain projects and things like that. So that was pretty cool. But I think one of the best conversations we got into was this is also a fantastic way to keep in touch with your old customers. And I know we had talked about that before, but it really made sense to everybody who was at this class. Just offering up that deep clean, sand the floors, coat them, give them their kit, tell them everything they need to do, and then say, hey, and I'll see you next year. Give you a free cleaning. I'll come in, deep clean the floors. Now you're making sure they're using the walk-off mats, the felt pads, the right cleaners and everything, and they're taking care of your floor. And then next year, same thing. Just like the Stanley Steamer type thing where I'm in there once a year, deep cleaning that floor. And then 6, 7, 8 years down the road when it's time for a recoat, we don't have to get into using all of the cure products because there's no issues, because they're doing exactly what we told them to do. But also, I've mentioned this 1,000 times, now you're on a first name basis with that homeowner. You see her once a year, you know each other, you're on a first name basis. And then if she hears a whiff of anybody saying, geez, I'm thinking of having my hardwood floors done, oh, use my guy. I got a guy. Use this guy. My floors look amazing. And they're always going to look amazing once you're maintaining them correctly, doing that deep clean. They're always going to look, that homeowner is going to be raving about you.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I would also do if I had a power scrubber is I would let my distributor know that I have a power scrubber. Because how many times have you run into where a distributor they got a situation where they got to get something off a floor or sheetrock dust on a floor that's wire brushed or something that they got to get off the floor. It's a great man. So yeah, I got one of those and I know how to use it and I have the products and you can make some money doing that. We talk about a lot. I've seen so many guys make so much money on recoats and doing just maintenance, just cleaning floors. And what blows my mind is the people that are making the most money doing this are not hardwood floor people. They're cleaning people. They're janitorial type people. They're people that come in and that if you ask them, what pieces of wood are you standing on right now? They would have zero clue.
Wood.
And yet,
yeah, wood. It's wood.
Yeah.
Right.
Is this American cherry or is it maple? They would have no clue what you're talking about, and yet they're making a lot of money cleaning these floors. And it used to hurt my feelings, man, because I think, man, floor guys are not. I saw it firsthand. Is the reason why I was so passionate about it. I saw how much money these guys were making cleaning these floors, and the hardwood floor guys were making not that much more money to bring in a 200-pound machine, hook up 220, be there for 3 days. And this massive company that I'm talking about, it's not the one that you mentioned. They're like, a matter of fact, I'll tell you how they did this. They said, Wayne, we don't, our guys don't really, know tape measures very well. We don't really get into that. So what we're going to do, we're going to charge by 3 different sizes of rooms: big, medium, and small. I'm not making that up. And for small, they charge this; for medium, this; and large, that. And then they threw numbers at me, and they said, "Do you think this is good?" And I was like, "You've got to be kidding! You're going to charge that much money?" And they were getting it. And I thought, "Oh man!" I felt like, man, all that hard work we did for not a lot more than that. You know what I mean? And and it's a whole pretty easy gig. And we've both been on jobs where we've told ourselves, "Hey, we better slow down. Slow down a little bit. We're not supposed to make this kind of money this fast."
Right.
So then you're glad to bring in the big Bona cleaning kit and the coasters, and be really super nice, make it a great experience because you just made a killing on that job. And you know what? Yeah.
Go ahead.
And you need to. You should never feel bad about that, because you need those jobs. Because for every one of those jobs, there's going to be a job that something took you longer than you thought it was going to be. Something was more of a challenge than you thought. Somebody screwed up your schedule. The cost of doing business. So, you need these jobs.
The thing too with this, and this was what I got from the discussion at this last class, because like I said, it was just 2 days of discussing this stuff. So it was great. And one of the things that I got was something that we had talked about the last show, whether we're playing defense and waiting for somebody to call us to give a clean, right? Because one guy goes, "Yeah, I don't get a lot of calls about, my cleaning service, and, it's on my thing." And then we started talking about Facebook groups and things like that people are using for this. They're going big offense on this kind of thing to launch this type of service to your company, not just like a byline, but like, hey, really going after people. And that's what people were trading back and forth, was the different Facebook groups and things like that they belong to, and getting the word out that way. And some people are becoming highly successful with this business, but they're going at it offensively too. A lot of times we're sanding floors and installing floors and putting our pictures out there, and people are finding us on Instagram and everything. But it's definitely something, I think, the more offensive you get with this, the quicker you're going to get that word of mouth stuff. Because, just think about it'd be like wildfire. You can sand a floor in a neighborhood. Maybe not everybody's going to need their floor sanded, but man, you can clean a floor in a neighborhood and go, there could be 10, 12 other houses in one neighborhood that, yeah, I need that too.
The world has changed so much. If you're a movie star or an actress, you've got a publicity agent, you have marketing people around you, blah, blah, blah. You have all that team around you. Well, now everybody almost has to be their own team of marketing and you know what I mean? And publicists, and you're your own PR person now.
Yeah.
And you just can't sit anymore, kind of like and hope it comes to you. I think it's a different game now. So anyhow, listen, a lot of times we know we're preaching to the choir when we talk about some of these things. We know there's some flat out, absolutely stud, phenomenal floor mechanics that listen to the podcast, and we're grateful for all of them. We just had a guy from Canada, or not Canada, Australia, that reached out to us the other day, and we're honored for that. So thank you guys for listening, and appreciate it. Rob, did you have anything more on that? Sorry.
No, I'm good, man. 199, man. 199.
Yep, getting close to it. So thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate your listenership. It means a lot to us. And as Rob said, when he travels a lot, and when I travel, people do talk about the podcast with us, and we're grateful for that, and grateful that you listen and what have you, and thank you very much for that. And so please,
usually though they'll see me and is Wayne here? Where's
yeah.
Wayne? Where's Wayne?
Yeah. Must be
No,
so
it's just me. Sorry.
disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's not true. Okay. This has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. Please stay tuned for another episode.